Contrary to popular belief, I try to do my best to make sure that these videos don't feel like you're watching another YouTuber where you're like, comment, and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I asked you guys to do those things, but I try to naturally infuse them into the conversation. But I do think for this one video, I'm going to have a comment question because I'm so curious to see your guys' thoughts on this. Now, of course, some of you might watch this after the Browns game, but my comment question is this. What are the chances, because I don't think it's just like a yes or no question, what are the chances that if Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns beat us handily on Sunday, that Pete Carroll just immediately gets fired? Not that he gets fired at the end of the season. What if he just gets fired right now? Because, look, I've seen a lot of discourse. Discourse? I never know which one to use. Join my Discord. About people wanting to fire Pete Carroll. And I understand it, and I would even maybe go as far as to say that I would consider it. Because a lot of the decisions that have been made personnel-wise have not worked out, and it's mainly a Pete Carroll issue. But I've been thinking a lot about this recently, about other coaches that have success and then get fired once it all falls apart. Like Doug Peterson comes to mind, for example, with the Eagles. The Eagles obviously had a good thing going with Doug Peterson, and then they win the Super Bowl, they kind of fall off a cliff, and then he gets fired. And my question, same thing with Andy Reid and the Eagles, or, there are plenty of coaches that have success that eventually just get fired because it doesn't work out the way you want it to. And my question always is, well, if you had success with that coach, and then you started to not have success, why wouldn't you give the coach the benefit of the doubt and say, well, it's the players, and maybe we can keep the coach that we did have success with, to usher in the rebuild? Does that make sense? If you have a successful coach and you want to rebuild, you don't have to fire the coach. Just tell him, look, we're going to rebuild. That isn't exactly a one-for-one comparison to what our situation is because we have not had success with Pete Carroll yet. But everywhere he's gone the last 2 decades, he has had massive amounts of success winning football games at the highest level. So I would consider keeping Pete Carroll if he were to be on board with the rebuild and let him usher in this new phase of the Las Vegas Raiders. I wouldn't keep Chip Kelly. I would consider getting rid of Patrick Graham and maybe considering this all a soft reboot with Pete Carroll, leading the charge or finding the new, young, up-and-coming coordinators to maybe take over for him. Because as angry as I am that he keeps preaching like this win-win-win nonsense, even though, what is he supposed to say? Yeah, we want to lose. I would like for him to play the young guys, and it seems like Darian Porter is going to play. And it seems like Aiden O'Connell is already the backup quarterback ahead of Kenny Pickett. And everyone's like, oh, we should bench Gina for Kenny Pickett. It's like, guys, Kenny Pickett was on a team that had 5 quarterbacks, and he was the one that they decided to get rid of. So let's pump the brakes on all the Kenny Pickett nonsense. If they want to win games or if they want to look competent out there, they'll put Aiden O'Connell out there. And then there's people who say, well, Aiden will get sacked 10 times. Like, okay, Gino's getting sacked 10 times. At least Aiden will get the ball out. None of that matters. I would consider keeping Pete. The issue is there's a lot of buzz. A lot of buzz now. Not only from beat reporters from the Raiders. There's a lot of buzz from ESPN, like Jeremy Fowler, who offers hot seat buzz on Pete Carroll and the Raiders. And I can't scroll down here. What's happening? Stand by. Let me refresh and see if I can scroll. Okay, I can scroll. Are the Raiders going to move on from Pete Carroll after just one season? It seems unthinkable a few weeks ago, but momentum is not moving in a good direction for Carroll, and many believe the Raiders will consider a change of head coach at the end of the season. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, Carroll is a name to monitor in the weeks ahead, but Fowler does not believe Carroll would simply walk away from the situation in Las Vegas. This is Jeremy Fowler's quote, Carroll is a name to monitor because the Raiders are clearly in rebuilding mode from a talent/roster standpoint. At 74, he's in it to win it now and to prove he's still capable of turning around an organization. Those plans aren't meshing. I don't necessarily see him walking away, though. He's clearly not getting what he signed up for in January. So a question of whether or not the Raiders should reset and continue to rebuild with another coach is worth asking. At least you have pillars such as Bowers, Crosby, and Ashton-Jeanty for a hopeful turnaround in 2026. Either way, something has to change with the offense and play caller Chip Kelly, whose name could surface for college jobs again. The 30th ranked offense is a tough watch, especially when it involves the act of handing the ball off. From the outside, it seems like it has all been but determined that Chip Kelly won't be back next year, but Carroll's future with the organization will be a more complicated decision. Carroll is one of the most respected coaches in the NFL, and it wouldn't be the greatest look for the Raiders to fire 3 coaches in 3 years, with the last being a future Hall of Fame head coach. A lot to talk about there. I've got takes about firing 3 coaches in 3 years and about Pete Carroll's willingness to rebuild being the main reason why he might get fired, which is interesting because it doesn't mean that because the team looks bad he's going to get fired. But before all that, I do need to tell you about a little company known as DraftKings. We are officially in holiday season, which is known for a few things. Some good food, some good times with family, and some good freaking sports. And we've got basketball, hockey, and the NFL officially underway in the midst of all their seasons. And there is no time like the present to get in on the betting scene. And now you can with our channel sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet $5, and if your bet wins, you get $200 instantly in bonus bets. And all you have to do is sign up and use the promo code ALLaBorde. Look, we are in the middle of the NFL season, and we know exactly which teams are good, are bad, which players are racing toward MVPs or Rookie of the Years. All these things are coalescing into a phenomenal finale that's coming in the NFL season. If you're the type of person that likes to create the perfect, intricate parlay for an even bigger payout or bet on games live as they happen, DraftKings options are for you. And don't worry if DraftKings isn't available in your state. You can still get in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. We've already had a few amazing touchdowns this season, and I have a feeling that the next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. Download the app, sign up, and use the promo code ALLaBorde. So a few things. If Pete Carroll gets fired, as crazy as it seems, or as crazy as what I'm about to say seems, I don't think it's because we're going to end up with a top 5 pick. I don't think it's because of how bad we looked on the field. I think, and I've said this a lot, they put all their chips in the Chip Kelly, Geno Smith combination, and it blew up in their face. And also, they've had some pretty bad injury luck with the focal points of their offense being hurt for a lot of the season and their best 2 linemen going down. That's not on Pete Carroll. It just is what it is. It's on Pete Carroll for trusting Chip Kelly and Geno Smith. But those guys have had various levels of success at the highest level of this game. And sometimes you bet on something that you think is the safe bet and it doesn't work. That's why I kind of wanted to go after Sam Darnold, because it's boom or bust. I didn't think Geno Smith would be boom or bust. I didn't think he'd be bad enough for us to be where we are now. So maybe we're getting a little bit lucky with boom or bust Geno in that regard. But I don't think Pete Carroll would get fired because of how bad the team looks. I do think he would get fired because he's not willing to rebuild or is not willing to commit to drafting a young quarterback. That's the only way you let him go. So in that regard, if he's not willing to do that, if he's putting his foot in the ground saying, I'm the CEO, bitch, shout out to the social network, then you got to let him go. But if it's because of the performance of the team, we can't keep justifying firing coaches, not really overhauling the roster, bringing in a new coach, seeing the team play bad, and then firing this coach. The only way it makes sense for me to fire him is if he's not willing to commit to a rebuild. And right now, it seems like at the present day, he doesn't want to play a lot of the young guys. Now, that's going to change apparently this week with Darian Porter getting a lot of snaps, and that's changing with the backup quarterback position because Aiden O'Connell is the number 2 quarterback. He hasn't come out and said that, but all reports are saying he's the number 2 quarterback. Obviously, Ashton Genty's played a lot this season, and the rookie wide receivers are playing a lot as well, but the signing of Tyler Lockett, which makes no sense in retrospect, is hurting their chances to get reps as well. We just need Pete Carroll to get on board with drafting a young guy. That's what it comes down to, because we're going to be high enough to draft, if Dante Moore comes out, one of these 3 guys, whether it's Moore, Simpson, or Fernando Mendoza. And I don't want to spoil my rankings again because this is going to be a Patreon exclusive series of me watching and breaking down the film of all these rookie quarterbacks, which you can sign up for. Patreon, link in the description below, or YouTube members, you can join here and watch that series as well. My number one quarterback right now isn't any of those three guys, and it's another person that we're questioning whether or not he's going to come out. So I'll just leave it at that. People in my Discord know who my favorite is, so if you want to join Discord, do that as well. But last thing I'll say is this. If we end up losing a close game to the Browns and Shador's first start, we're a bad football team. Like Myles Garrett could just wreak havoc and we turn the ball over and we lose. If we get blown out, I don't think it's I think there's a non-zero chance that Pete Carroll could just get fired, like instantaneously. Especially because everyone was linking Shador Sanders to the Raiders. And I wouldn't have been mad taking him and letting him learn under Geno. And at least we would have had some juice here. Maybe they would have put Aiden O'Connell in the game if he wasn't injured at this point in the season. But if you get blown out by Shador, it's on the board that Pete Carroll could get fired. So I don't know. What do you guys think about how this game's going to turn out? What are your thoughts on all this? Do you think he's going to get fired? I think it's a 50-50 chance right now. I think it's more likely than not that Chip Kelly's gone, especially with the amount of money he's making. He's not able to get anything going. Doesn't matter how injured we are. You're making $6 million. You got to figure it out. Like I said, the Patreon exclusive series is coming soon. Shout out to my $5 and $10 patrons and YouTube members. If you want to join all this stuff, it does help keep the lights on this channel. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. We're not done. I want to, sometimes, very rarely, I go off on a little tangent at the end of this. And I want to talk about something that's been grinding my gears recently. The NBA is absolutely unwatchable. Now, I don't want this to come off misconstrued. I'm not one of these people that are like, the NBA's woke, so don't watch it. The football's for men and the NBA's for little baby girl. No. I love basketball. I play basketball all the time. I grew up playing basketball. I love watching the sport. March Madness is the best thing in sports. I want you to do an experiment for me because I've been doing this not to see what it was like, but just because it's getting on my nerves. When you watch a basketball game, I want you to grab your remote and mute the TV from the time that there's a foul called to the time that the ball is put back in play. And if it's a shooting foul, wait until the second free throw either gets rebounded or is made and the ball is put back in play. And you will be shocked to see how often you're sitting in silence throughout NBA games. I'm a Jazz fan, so I only watch Jazz games. I watch every single one, win, lose, or draw, tanking or not. I watch every single game. And they just played the Thunder. And the way Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing is an absolute disgrace to the officiating, to Adam Silver, to the whole league that Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West built. If you're a parent watching this, and you let your kid play the way Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's playing, flopping all over the field and falling down, you need to rethink your parenting strategy in terms of coaching your kid. If you're a kid watching this and you're thinking about modeling your game after Shai, don't, because nobody's going to respect you. I just have to get this off my chest. These basketball games are 150 to 140 in regulation. It's unwatchable. It's destroying the integrity of the sport, and that's why people can't stand it. And that's why people tune in when the playoffs are happening. So, NBA, figure out a way to let the games be more physical and tone down the technical fouls, because when you let the game be more physical, people are going to start complaining. I mean, players, that is. So just don't tee them up. But, God, it's just an absolute joke. And I just had to get it off my chest. Hit that like button, comment away, and please do subscribe. It's free out there on the charge. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.